Okay. We are going to cover a few more things, including Kanye West being banned from entering Britain. Now, this is kind of an interesting story here, people. So, wireless, which I'm wondering how Drake feels about this. Wireless last year gets to link with Drake for this one-on-one experience. They give Drake all 3 nights to fill. It's his concert. He's the only headliner. And they have this concert, and he brings out a ton of people. I believe Lauryn Hill he brought out, Party Next Door, Popcorn, Vibes Cartel. Like he brought out so many people, Central C. And that was like a really new way and creative way of a festival existed. It basically just was, it was a Drake show, or his version of Wireless in terms of a festival with his friends. Not too sure if you guys remember some of the clips from it. Drake Wireless. This is some of the stuff, right? Brought out Heady One. Let me see. Who's this? Oh, Dave. He brought out Dave. Central C.
I watched my brothers right here go from fucking the bars that they're writing.
He brought out Lotto. He brought out Sexy Red too? Yeah, he brought out Sexy Red. Damn. Brought out Savage.
I be thinking about just like
Okay, anyway. Really good vibes. However, this year, they're going with the new motto. Well, the same motto. So they're taking what worked with Drake last year, and they're trying to apply it to Kanye West. So they had Kanye West headlining Wireless. We don't know who he was going to bring out. However, a lot of things started happening quite quickly. 3 sponsors dropped out. Now, it's very surprising and alarming when Diageo, which is a liquor brand that owns Ciroc that Diddy was signed to, Diageo, which it owns, I believe, Bacardi, it owns, not Bacardi. Sorry, I'll tell you what they own. What liquor brands does Diageo own? Okay, so they own Johnny Walker, Scotch, Smirnoff, Captain Morgan, Bailey's, and a bunch of other stuff, including Ciroc. Yeah, Ciroc as well. Ciroc, Kettle One. Oh, they own Don Julio, Casamigos, De Leon. Okay, so they own they own a lot. They basically pulled out. They were a sponsor for the festival. And if you don't know how festivals make money, about like 60 or 70% comes from ticket sales. They also make a lot of money from sponsorships, right? Because that's usually, especially if you have these places that want to promote, alcohol or promote whatever, these places sponsor a festival. And what happens is sometimes they'll be like, okay, if we're going to have bars at the festival, they'll only serve Diageo products. They won't mess with other products. Like, also one of the sponsors that did pull out was Pepsi. When they're a sponsor, they're going to give them some money, but they're going to get a lot of free, promotion. And at the grounds, they won't have Coca-Cola. So that's how it kind of works. So Pepsi is a sponsor, Diageo is a sponsor, and apparently like even PayPal or something of the sort, they were a sponsor too. Now in the last 3 days, Pepsi and Diageo dropped or withdrew as sponsors for the event. Okay? They said they wanted nothing to do with it because Ye was anti-Semitic. All right? They actually said this: we have informed the organizers of our concerns that as it stands, Diageo will not sponsor this festival. Ye previously has apologized for all his quote-unquote anti-Semitic remarks. He apologized to Jewish people. He sat with a rabbi. he pretty much has tried everything to try to get back into good graces, or at least to be on the path of redemption and forgiveness, because, he kind of want to get back to his mainstream shit. Now, we saw he did 2 great shows at SoFi. I'm being told SoFi 33 million. Yeah, Bloomberg actually stamps it, right? Bloomberg stamps it. Bloomberg claims he sold out 2 shows at SoFi and he earned $33 million. His Friday show earned over $18 million just in ticket sales. That is ridiculous. How much were the tickets? I'm going to do a little bit of pocket watching here. Let's try to figure out the average price of tickets. How many people does SoFi Stadium hold for concert? So it could hold 70,000 people. So let's do some quick handy dandy calculation. And I'll put this on for this calculator. So if he sold out twice, it would be 140,000. Or let's just say 40,500, because we're gonna account for this the 240. And let's divide that by, if that's the amount of people that went to the show. Oh no, we need to divide 30 million by that. My bad. 30 million divided by 140,500. Was it 30 million or 33? Oh, 33. So I want to get the correct math. So it's 33 million, right? Divided by 140,500, and the average ticket price was $240. God damn. And so basically, if you average out a ticket to go to that concert, from, we're talking nosebleeds to even sitting courtside, the average ticket price was $235. And that's what made him $33 million in 2 nights. Jesus. That's insane. Okay. Anyway, so he did those shows. Obviously, there's a lot of politics that's going on in the United States because, for him to work with Live Nation to possibly set up a tour, they're going to come under backlash. I'm pretty sure, SoFi just did a one-off with that. And he's still trying to come back with his path of redemption. Wireless gave him an opportunity and apparently accepted. And the sponsors pulled out. Then after the sponsors pulled out, I guess the festival said, you know what? The sponsors kind of knew what was up, but if they want to pull out, fine. We're still going to continue with the show. Actually, the organizer of the concert actually spoke about this. This is what they said. They actually kind of low-key called out Pepsi. They said, yo, Pepsi knew it was going to be yay. They were on board with it first, and basically they backed out last second.
We did with Pepsi, for instance, our lead sponsor, and they signed off and approved it, for example, and perhaps we should have done.
Really? That's fascinating. Sorry to interrupt again, but that's fascinating. So Pepsi, who've pulled out now, haven't they? Pepsi originally were quite happy for him to come.
Correct, yes. They're our headline sponsor. We asked them to sign off on it, and they did. We did with Pepsi for...
Now, they're basically saying, and he did say, like, hey, listen, I want to see if I could get a longer video of this, but he basically said that Pepsi, their main sponsor, pulled out despite initially signing off on Ye being okay as a performer. Even then, with Pepsi pulling out, he actually announced, he says, yo, check it. I'm still going to throw this event. I'm still going to throw this concert. And give me 1 second.
I want to talk now.
1 second. I'm trying to find the interview. Where's the interview at? This week. What program was that thing on? Does anybody know this program?
Lead sponsor, and they signed off and approved it, for example, and perhaps we should have done.
Really? That's
Oh, it's BBC. Okay, pause. Okay, here it is.
But you can't tell them to forgive. It's up to them.
No, I'm
isn't
not
it?
telling them. I'm not telling them. I'm asking them.
So this is the festival organizer, and I do want to say I want to salute to this guy, and I want to salute to Wireless. If you ask me my stance on the whole Kanye thing, obviously I'm not Jewish. I also don't agree with some of the stuff he said about Jewish people, clearly, but I also am worried when you kind of just blanketly ostracize a musician from having a platform or even performing music that's non-related to maybe an opinion you don't like because you feel offended by something you did in the past. Now, we know about cancel culture. The way they get you canceled is they go to who pays you. That's been the whole thing about cancel culture. So cancel culture used to be, okay, you did something and we want you to pay. We go to your job and your job fires you. That's how you get canceled. You become radioactive. Nobody wants to stand next to you. You lose out on opportunities. So once we get to a place where Wireless is like, okay, well, you know what? You were going to be our biggest sponsor this year, Pepsi. But if you don't want to do it, fuck it, kick rocks. We're not going to choose the sponsors over the artists. I had so much respect for it because usually the companies, they want to save those relationships and they don't mind throwing the artist under the bus. Let me finish playing this interview where he's talking about why he booked Kanye for Wireless.
Well, I suppose there's a case that culturally he is a really important artist. Culturally, he is played across the radio stations and enjoyed by millions of people across the UK. He is able to perform in other countries. He played in Los Angeles 2 nights last week to 70,000 people each night.
Now, I know people are going to mention that. Yeah, like, why are they tripping in the UK? He played in SoFi 2 nights ago. Well, I'm pretty sure that decision just came down to the arena itself. And usually whoever who owns the arena, they're just trying to get nights booked, right? Obviously, they have partners and third, but if Ye is coming in with pretty much an independent concert, they might just look beyond whatever he's going to do. They probably have a clause that says, hey, listen, you can't do anti-Semitic stuff within our building. But they just allowed Ye to get the date.
No issues there, no furore, and his performances were enjoyed by the thousands of fans that were there. So, you know, he has made abhorrent statements. Of course, he has, and they're equally abhorrent to me as they are to you know, members of the Jewish community, members of Parliament.
But if I could just stop you there, maybe not equally abhorrent, because maybe those people who are the targets of these statements should be the ones that you reach out to and ask whether he should come or not. I'm just curious to know whether you've done that.
We have reached out and they've refused to meet in. I have reached out and they've refused to meet it.
When did you do that?
Just over the last couple of days.
Right.
Really.
Should you not have done it before when you were making the decision about whether to bring? Hang on a second. To bring to the country someone who has issued swastika T-shirts, someone who brought out a song called Heil Hitler, should you not at an early stage have said to Jewish groups in this country, you okay with this?
Yeah, potentially we should have done, Justin, and that may prove to be a mistake that we've made. But you know, so potentially we should have done. We did with Pepsi, for instance, our lead sponsor, and they signed off and approved it, for example. And perhaps we should have done.
Really, that's fascinating. Sorry to interrupt again, but that's fascinating. So Pepsi, who've pulled out now, haven't they? Pepsi originally were quite happy for him to come.
Correct. Yes, they're our headline sponsor. We asked them to sign off on it, and they did. And you know, perhaps we should have done the same with the Jewish community, and that may prove to be a mistake. But there's a very serious issue of mental health. Mental health is not something that disappears overnight. It's not an instant thing.
Yeah, this is why I say Kanye is so powerful. He still has people to go to bat for him. Now, us black people, we mad forgiving, right? Like, shit. the best thing Ye's doing right now is being quiet. Like, no hot takes, no calling nobody out, no crazy rants. And I'm using the word crazy facetiously. What I mean crazy rants, you don't want him, if he stays quiet, the fans go back to loving him because they've loved so much of what he's given them in the past. So the black community and also the hip hop community, we're mad accepting. So nobody's saying, oh, nah, before we listen to Kanye again, he needs to apologize. We're like, all right, man, that's just old. However, the people who, sponsor these festivals and this and third, or are behind some of the things he wants to do, they want it to be abundantly, they're putting some fucking loopholes that he has to jump through. And I got to be honest, while I don't agree with it, I kind of have to respect it, because we allow any disrespect, and we just take an apology or give an apology, or we'll take an apology from someone after they've said the wildest things without holding things against people. That's not how it works throughout the world.
People suffer psychotic behavior, suffer bipolar behavior for many years, and people can.
Also, it's interesting that this guy's using his bipolar diagnosis to say that's why these things happen. He's using mental health.
Believe that they have, thoughts in their mind where, God or other people are determining what they should say, and their statements and their behavior becomes despicable and absolutely abhorrent. And I think people are forgetting that because of the nature of the statement. The nature of the statement is absolutely disgusting that he made.
Well, it's not just one statement, is it? It's quite a few, and that's the point about the mental illness episode. So people, and also the fact that he has apologised before and then retracted the apology. I mean, doesn't that suggest to you that this behaviour cannot simply be explained by his mental health?
Well, actually, I would suggest that it can be explained by his mental health. As someone that lives very close to someone with mental health issues, yes, I would suggest that actually it can be explained by his mental health issues, Justin.
So do Jews in this country, Jewish people living here whose children are going to school amid extraordinary security, who are attacked, who have come under attack in synagogues, who feel themselves to be under the kind of pressure that they have not been in this country in modern times, when he comes here, are they just to say, well, the guy's got a mental illness, we should look the other way?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I mean, the pressure that the Jewish...
So once again, we're realizing they're not trying to forgive this guy.
Community is under at the moment is immense, and I feel for them in that sense, and I speak on their behalf, not for them because I'm not of that community, but I speak with my staff about the pressure that they're under, for example, and how we need to be supportive of that and those communities. But at the same time,
isn't that the point? I mean, I hear those words, but they will hear those words this morning. You haven't been supportive of them.
Have forgiveness in their heart, Justin.
But you can't tell them to forgive. It's up to them.
No, I'm not telling them. I'm not telling them. I'm asking them.
And if they say no?
Well, if they say no, they have the right to that opinion. Of course they do.
But they don't have the right to have the ability to say to you, this was a mistake and you should rescind the invitation.
You see, yeah, this guy, you could tell he's one of them woke motherfuckers. But I kind of agree with the organizer here. He's saying that, if you don't like Ye or you feel offended by some of the stuff he does, you have that right. And he's like, this guy's asking, well, they don't have the right to tell you not to do something. Well, here's the response. They have a right not to go to the concert. If you feel that way about Ye, you don't have to show up to Wireless this year. You could skip out on Wireless. Let's see if Ye will have an audience that will fill the building.
They have that right, but they shouldn't have no single person should have the right to, other than Parliament. And Parliament, it may be that the Home Secretary does rescind rescind his visa. He has a visa already issued to appear, to come into the country. And the Home Secretary may well rescind that today. I don't know. If she does, she does. And then, the issue is over in terms of his appearance.
Has he actually got a visa, do you know?
I'm sorry?
Has he actually had a visa yet? Has he applied for one?
Yeah, no, he has a visa. He has a visa. He has an approved visa. That is correct, Justin.
Right.
I've seen that visa.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So he has an approved visa. He has the right to come at the moment. And if the Home Secretary were to act, she'd be rescinding that visa.
And the Home Secretary has the right to rescind it. Of course she does. And, we'll see what she says later in the day.
Have you had any contact with the Home Office about him coming?
We've had contact with the DCMS, but not the Home Office.
And can you share with us what that contact was? In other words, have they come to you, or did you go to them?
Both. We had an open discussion with the DCMS, and the DCMS will, are feeding back. My understanding is the DCMS are feeding back the results of that open discussion to the Home Secretary before this morning's
Just to be
meeting.
clear about the visa, the visa was issued. Is it one that he had anywhere, or the visa was issued for him to come to this festival?
Well, it's not for him to come to the festival. It's for him to come to the country. And if he comes to the country, he has no reason not to perform.
But
at
it
the
was
festival.
issued. It was issued during the course of this government's tenure, in order that he could come in July when the festival is. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been issued in the last few days. It's been issued in the last 100%. It's been issued over the last few days, Justin.
Just a final thought then about people who will be amazed that he has been invited, horrified by the things that he has said. You are saying to them this morning that they have the right to object, which they obviously do, but their objections cannot stop him coming if the Home Secretary lets him come.
Well, that would be the legal position, yes.
But is it your ethical position as well?
I think, as per my statement yesterday, Justin, I want to give people a second chance. And I think Kanye West, Ye as he is now officially known, should be given a second chance, and should be able to become an advocate for the very same community that he has upset so much.
Would you be able to perform Heil Hitler at the festival?
Absolutely not.
How would you know? How would you be able to stop him then?
Because we will have our hands on the microphone controls at all times, Justin. I've done that many times in the past.
Right, because of course we have very recent experience of that not going very well. But you're saying he would be cut off if he said anything objectionable at any stage?
100% he would, yes.
So what happened after this shit, this guy's throwing like a hissy fit. Ye gets his visa revoked. I ain't gonna lie, man. The UK fucked me up with this one. The UK fucked me up with this one, Chad. I can't even lie to you. Ye has been blocked from entering Britain to headline a summer musical festival. By the way, the festival's gonna be in like July. Over his anti-Semitic social media statements and songs. The event organizer says Tuesday, government authorities have withdrawn Ye's electronic travel authorization. The organizer of the festival, Republic, a division of Live Nation, said in a statement, and as a result, the 3-day wireless festival has been canceled. Wait, Live Nation own wireless too? What festivals does Live Nation own? Live Nation owns Lollapalooza, EDC, Bonnaroo, Governor's Ball. Okay. We're going to look at the full list. Yeah, Live Nation owns every fucking thing, huh? Festival. Let me go down to what they own. Companies that Live Nation own. Okay, subsidiaries. Damn, look how much fucking subsidiaries these are. Live Nation. Jesus Christ. Even their wiki's long as fuck. There was a list before. I'll just look it up on Google search. Does Live Nation own wireless festival? Yes. God damn. Live Nation own everything. Everything. They oversee it and they let Festival Republic, I'm guessing. They handle like the booking and shit like that. That's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. Anyway, so the development comes hours after the rapper formerly known as Ye responded for the first time to the mountain controversy and offered to meet members of the Jewish community in Britain. So it looked like Ye reached out and said, yo, listen, man, I'll meet some of the Jewish people in Britain to, kind of, give my apologies there. So basically, they got Ye on an apology tour. Rabbi to rabbi, kissing all type of walls. Like, what I mean? They got this nigga like befuddled. Like, they got my nigga Ye like, yo, he's sorry. Yo, he not right in the head. You gonna give him a pass or not? Now, I'm not saying give him a pass like the things he said or whatever he was doing was acceptable. But, dog, it's not like he coming there to do a speech. He's about to perform some songs. Now, I get it. Like, he the type of nigga to cut the music off and go on a rant. But, shit, the event organizer was saying, man, we got our hands on the mute shit where we could just cut his mic. Tuesday's statement by Festival Republic reads, the Home Office has withdrawn Ye's ETA. Okay, I guess that's the visa. Denying him entry into the United Kingdom. As a result, Wireless Festival is canceled and refunds will be issued to all ticket holders. I was actually shocked that they just canceled the whole thing. I guess, they usually book more than like a month or two out, but I was surprised that they just canceled the whole thing. The statement also, I think this is like the first year is going to be canceled. Right? Let's look at it. Wireless Festival. Okay, here we go. So we could look at all the people who headlined it. Once we get to, this is 2025, Drake headlined all 3 nights, brought out Lauryn Hill, Party Next Door, Bryson Tiller, Giveon, Mario, Bobby Valentino, Summer Walker. Who else? Vanessa Carlton, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Lotto, Party Next Door, Central C. I guess Party Next Door probably came out for all 3 nights because they did the album together. Dave, Skepta, J Hus, K-Trap. Okay, Yeet. Okay. And then Burna Boy, Cartel, Rema, Popcorn Essential C. Okay, so it looked like it's going to be canceled for this year then. 2026? Okay, so it looked like it's canceled. The statement also said multiple stakeholders were consulted in advance of booking Ye, and no concerns were highlighted at the time. It added that anti-Semitism in all its form is abhorrent, and we recognize the real and personal impact these issues have had. The BBC also reported that Ye has been banned from entering the country, and even though they didn't respond immediately for a comment, a British news source did tell NBC News on Monday that the ministers were reviewing whether or not to let Ye into the country, and at least 4 corporate sponsors of the festival had removed themselves from the lineup or from the sponsorship. The decision is one of the most meaningful results of the rapper's descent into racist sloganeering, which saw him release a song called Hayala. Yeah. Ye issued a statement early on Tuesday, which he said, I've been following the conversation around wireless and I want to address it directly. My only goal is to come to London and present a show of change, bring unity, peace, and love through my music. He continued, I would be grateful for the opportunity to meet with the members of the Jewish community in the UK to listen. I know words aren't enough. I have to show change through my actions, he said. If you're open, I'm here with love. Yeah, it's kind of a tough one. I think everybody should make their own choice, but some of these brands, they care about the crowd that's going to be offended if Ye performs. So you can't get mad at them. They're making a business decision. We don't want to get boycotted. I would imagine if Pepsi was the main sponsor, maybe it was going to be a Pepsi stage that he was going to be performing on. Shit. Pepsi was probably saying, we don't want that nigga standing on our stage for the headlining performer and fucking, saying whatever. Let me see. Who was the sponsors last year, right? Let's see. Wireless 2025. Sometimes you would see the sponsor's name like somewhere. Let's see. Wireless Festival name of stages. They have multiple stages, right? Okay, so here we go. So they have a main stage, they have an Old Spice stage, and then they have a Hennessy stage. So that's where I could see Diageo like, yo, all right, hell no. We don't want that nigga performing on our stage. He say something crazy, we look crazy. Okay. So this was 2025. Old Spice stage, Hennessy stage. What about 2020? 2024. Oh, they had an Amazon Music stage. Okay, so they switch it. They switch up. Okay, well, I mean, you know, I love Ye, but yeah, I can't knock a company making a business decision. I give all credit to the Melvin dude because he's kind of like, yo, we booked Ye, we're gonna stand with it. We talked to all the people beforehand. They seem cool. Now when maybe things are heating up a little bit more, they're having cold feet, but they knew what it was. I give a lot of credit to that person because he could just lay low and just act like it was out of his control, but he tried to stick with Ye. I can't lie. So Ye previously offered T-shirts for sale that would have a swastika and declared he's a Nazi on social media. Publicly apologized for the comments earlier this year in a full Wall Street Journal advertisement, citing an undiagnosed brain injury and mental health issues. The Festival Republic managing director Melvin Ben said in a lengthy statement that Ye had been invited to perform songs that are already heard by millions on the radio and streaming services that he should be offered forgiveness. The Board of Deputies of British Jews say in a response to Ye's statement that the Jewish community will want to see a genuine remorse and change. Oh my God. Before that is the appropriate place, before believing that the appropriate place to test the sincerity is on the main stage of Wireless. So essentially, they want him to come kiss the ring, but do something that don't got money involved or something he won't benefit from just for the Jewish people before they could possibly think about, forgiving him. It's kind of interesting. Phil Rosenberg, the board's president, said the group would meet with Ye only if he's agreed not to play the festival. So they're saying that they'll talk to Ye, but if Ye agrees not to do the festival. Wes Streeton, the British health secretary and an influence voice in the ruling Labour Party, told Sky News on Tuesday that Ye's set should be canceled. So what I would say is that Ye has no business headlining the Wireless Festival. I think organizers showed a terrible error of judgment in inviting him. Prime Minister blah blah criticized the decision to have Ye headline the festival. Now, there was further comments. Oh, so they had said Ye's presence conducive to the public good. They use like that particular thing. So apparently the Home Office, right? The Home Office that kind of handles, that's kind of like their ICE or their, immigration, situation or entity. The Home Office told BBC that the rapper had made an application on Monday to travel to the UK. It said on the decision to refuse permission was made on the grounds that his presence would not be conducive to the public good. So the decision to refuse the permission was made on the grounds that his presence wouldn't be conducive to the public good. They said visitors to the UK need an ETA if they do not need a visa for short stay of up to 6 months or don't have a UK immigration status. Wow. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Ye got to take this in stride. This is what's going to come with a path to true redemption. Not everybody's going to just forgive you on the first apology. It's going to have to show changed behavior. He's going to have to do this over a good period of time. And I do think eventually he will be back in the good graces of everybody. But I do think a lot of people want to see him really on bended knees and really want to see him like actually sincerely apologize. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Oh, I think.
Hi, Kev. It's great to see you.
Good to see you. Well, first of all, let's talk about Kanye West. Now, this was the guy who was going to headline, I think, for 3 days in a row, the big wireless festival in Finsbury Park in North London in July. I think it's about a 3-day festival. Now, this guy, Melvin Ben, who is the managing director of the wireless festival, he said, I booked him because, we've got to forgive him. Why don't you forgive him like I've forgiven him? Everybody deserves a second chance. This is a guy who made a single called
Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler. Yeah. He had a clothing range based on Hitler, on Nazis, on hating Jews. He made a big thing about it and seems to think that if he takes out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal, which he did in January, saying, well, sorry about my anti-Semitism and my racism and my love of Nazis and my love of Adolf Hitler, but you see, I got bipolar, so it's not my fault. Well, it turns out that the British government takes the stance that it is his fault and they won't let him in. So Melvin Ben, it seems to me, has single-handedly ruined the wireless festival by inviting a Nazi to headline, to be the headliner.
Now, this is like a program that's like popular overseas, and you can see how they're talking about Kanye. They're calling Kanye straight up like Nazi.
Why on earth did he not find one of the thousands of stars who were not anti-Semites? That's what I would say. That said, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings about us banning Kanye West from entering Britain purely because of his opinions? His opinions are disgusting. We do not condone them. But are we now a country that bans people from entering because we don't like what they think?
Well, it's a really difficult question, isn't it? And this, I think this particular instance goes slightly beyond the free speech debate, because if you are releasing songs like Heil Hitler, if you're wearing swastika branding and you're selling swastika branding, you're actually, in this day and age, in this climate, it's essentially encouraging violence towards Jews, because we know it's happening all the time. It happened at the synagogue in Eden Park. There was the big terrorist conspiracy that was.
So essentially, it looks like not the concerts, but so the concert wouldn't bend, and this is like an interesting. And I'll wrap with this. This is like an interesting place where cancellation, and I think the scariest place that cancellation could get to. So cancellations, once again, I'm restating, it's all about getting your sponsors to not want to do business with future business partners because you're involved. People usually pick the money over the artist. That didn't happen at this case. Usually it happens with everyone else, and everything shuts down at that point. If Pepsi pulls out, they don't want to have nothing to do with the concert. You have Diageo that pulling out. You have PayPal or whoever else. They're like, yo, we're good. We don't want nothing to do with this concert because Ye's on it. Usually the festival is like, all right, we're going to get Ye out of here. Please stay. They were down with them guys leaving, which probably is going to cost them millions of dollars. And it took the government. But this is where the important part is. When the government is actually playing a part on who should be listened to, who is so or quote unquote so toxic that they shouldn't, be allowed in a country. When cancellation turns to denying you entrance to a country, that feels like something else, doesn't it? Exactly. Yeah.